UPSC Civil Services Prelims exam is over, but guesswork, butterfly in the stomach is already started. There is a lot of speculation about the nature of the paper. Of course, it's a shock therapy by the UPSC for the candidates this time. If you see the question paper, not only the economic question paper, but it's very diversified question paper. For example, I have set D with myself, and in this question paper, question number 98 is asking which of the following pair is not correctly matched, and they are asking about Indian Army Corps, not about Indian Army, not about Indian Navy. In past, there are the questions with respect to Indian Army, Navy and Air Force. But this time they are asking you, mention the corps and their headquarters. 3rd Corps, Dimapur, 4th Corps, Tezpur, 14th Corps, Leh, and then 33rd Corps, Srinagar. This question looks a little bit vague, why they are asking for the corps. But see the deep insight. If you see this 33 corps, it is basically based at Siliguri. So in past, when Bangladesh was headed by their caretaker prime minister, there are a lot of buzz and a lot of things are being written about the Siliguri corridor, which is called as the chicken's neck. And Indian Army's 33 Corps is responsible for protecting that Siliguri corridor or chicken's neck. And from there, UPSC have took the question. But how people will know that regarding Leh, Tezpur and Dimapur? They are not preparing for the NDA exam. They are preparing for the UPSC Civil Service exam. It is going to be very difficult even for an NDA candidate who is preparing full time for the defense services to find out where these corps headquarters are located. So this is why this paper looked like a shock therapy to the candidates. Anyways, from here, if it is a shock therapy for one, it is a shock therapy for everyone. Means cutoff might be low, and those who are going to perform relatively better, they will get a chance to write a mains examination. That is the bottom line of every year's prelims examination. So even the question paper is difficult, you have to calm down during the question paper. That is the key to perform in that 2 hours. Now let's go to the economy section. If you'll see the economy section, there are total approximate 18 questions in the question paper. Out of that 18 questions, digital fintech infrastructure, financial sector regulation, public finance and macroeconomics, trade, industry and resources, agriculture and welfare economics are the major theme for this year's prelims criteria. Usually, they do ask good questions from monetary policy and budgeting chapter, but this year, technically, there is no direct question from the monetary policy as well as from the budgeting chapter. Though every year we advise students to prepare budget and economic survey properly, but if you see this year's question paper, there is no direct question neither from economic survey nor from budgeting chapter. So let's go one by one question. The first question which I would like to mention here, that is basically claimed by Umesh sir also, that is related to Hilton and Young Commission question. That is also related to the economy, because in the economy lectures, we always have seen that the evolution of the Reserve Bank of India, and the evolution of the Reserve Bank of India starts with the Hilton and Young Commission, which is also known as Royal Commission on Currency and Finance. So this commission was precisely sent by the British to India because before the RBI's formation in India, currency management was the responsibility of Government of India under Paper Currency Act 1861. So under Paper Currency Act 1861, British India government was looking over the currency circulation and rupees exchange rate. But in the phase of 1921 onwards, because of a lot of issues in the Indian economy, they are not able to manage the rupees exchange rate, which was correlated to silver and government securities. Now, Hilton Union Commission was sent to India in order to investigate what should be the right course of action, who should manage the currency circulation in India, and it's published. So, Hilton Union Commission have suggested to go for gold-based printing of the currency and maintaining the exchange rate. And of course, their main purpose, entire British Empire's purpose, is basically a mercantilism. They want to control Indian economy in such a way it should serve the interest of British Empire. So if you'll see all these options in this question Option number A is saying that adding the flow of remittances from the India and maintaining the India's credit worthiness. Second statement is saying that providing the support to the Indian importers. Third statement is saying that encouraging the exports of cotton produce from India. And fourth is saying that preventing the depreciation of the rupee in terms of the gold. In the examination condition, many of the students may be confused with respect to the option number 3, encouraging the exports from cotton produce from India, encouraging exports of cotton produced in India. If you go to that era, majority of the mills, cotton and jute mills, are owned by British. For example, Elgin mills. So there are many mills who are being controlled by the British. Majority of them, they are controlled by the British. So might be many of the students will think about this. But commission is not for one particular industry. It is for overall Indian economy's management. And the dominance of the pound sterling should be remain over the Indian rupee. And for that purpose, they have mentioned 1S6D. 1S6D means 1 pound sterling against 6 Indian rupees. So this was outrightly rejected by a majority of the businessmen in India. But ultimately, it was selected as 1:5 ratio. Here, the role of our first Indian governor of RBI have played a very significant role. He explicitly countered this philosophy of the British, and Sir C.D. Deshmukh, who was the main architect for this 1:5D ratio, he outrightly rejected 1:6D ratio, and he proposed 1:4D ratio. But ultimately, 1:5D ratio was accepted by the British. So in this way, if you overall see, you can easily eliminate B, you can also eliminate C, you can also eliminate D. So even if you are not well versed with the first option, still you can eliminate B, C and D. That is why answer will be A. And if you are well versed, then you can understand how British want to establish their dominance over the India's economy, and that is why option A is correct. Now, if I will move to the second question of the economy, that is question number 25, and this question is about Sagarmala. And as I said that I have set number D, and in that set number D, the question on Sagarmala is question number 25. Now, if we'll see this statement or Sagarmala, they have three statements. Sagarmala program seeks to achieve port-led economic growth through the cost-effective and sustainable coastal infrastructure. Second statement is saying that the success of Sagarmala program reflects in the significant growth in the coastal and inland waterway shipping, along with the improved global port ranking. Third statement is saying that Sagarmala 2.0 aims to position India as a global maritime innovation hub. Global Maritime Innovation Hub aligned with Atmanirbhar Bharat and Viksit Bharat vision. Now, if you see in this question, again they are writing which of the following relationship. So, three statement. Now, you have to analyze these three statement and find out the relationship. Then they have wrote another three statement. Statement number 2 validates the effectiveness of the strategies envisioned in the statement number 1. So you have to analyze all three statements, and the statement number 2 validates the effectiveness of the strategies envisioned in the statement number 1. So if you'll read again statement number 1, that seeks about what is an objective of Sagarmala, and the statement number 2 is telling about the outcome of the Sagarmala. So the first and second statement are correlated to each other. So this statement is perfectly right. Then the second statement is saying that the statement number 3 extend the objectives of the statement number 1 by embedding them into a feature-oriented innovation framework. So, of course, the Sagarmala 1 was basically to develop the infrastructure, but the Sagarmala 2 want just not to focus only on the infrastructure, but build on that infrastructure, making India as a maritime global hub in the world economy. So this logic is also established. So first and second statement is correct. Now, if we go for the third statement, statement number 1 contradicts statement number 3 by focusing only on the traditional infrastructure instead of modern innovation. Here, I would like to mention one very interesting fact which I have did myself multiple times before this prelims examination. We are in the age of artificial intelligence. While making questions, we also take an assistance of artificial intelligence, that is without any doubt. If someone is saying that they are completely making question paper on their own, either they are lying or they do not know what artificial intelligence is. So that is only two possibilities. Otherwise, everyone is taking an assistance of artificial intelligence while making the questions. So this third statement is a classic example of when you train your artificial intelligence to make questions, because I also have trained GPT according to my need and requirement, and multiple times GPT do this classic mistake where the two statements are very good and the third statement you can easily find out the contradiction. See, statement 1 contradicts statement 3 by focusing only on traditional infrastructure instead of modern innovation. Classic example of question is made with the help of GPT. Anyways, question is made up of from where? It is none of our concern. To solve and get the marks is our concern. But that shows very poor brinkmanship of the UPSC, which they have made some of the cheap type of the questions, which is not up to the UPSC standard if we'll consider the previous year's question papers, especially from the 2012 to 2020. So the third statement is incorrect. So in the answer 1 and 2, that is answer is B. Question number 25, answer is B. Now let's move to the question number 34. This is of Vizhinjam port in Kerala, and that port was multiple times in the news. In the class, we have multiple times discussed about the importance of this port because it's a transshipment hub. Usually when a big ships come to India, they are going to have multiple loads. Why? Because we do not have any transshipment hub, so we have to take a help of foreign shipping companies. But now because of this port, we do not need to be dependent on foreign shipping companies for transshipment in India. Now we do have our transshipment hub in India itself. And the upcoming Nicobar project is also about transshipment hub. So a country after independence not having a transshipment hub for first 75 years, now they are going to create multiple transshipment hub and started with the Vizhinjam port in Kerala. So if we will see this question number 34, in what ways does Vizhinjam Port International Seaport represent a structural shift in India's maritime trade and logistic policy? As I have already told you, again here I would like to mention the bad use of ChatGPT. If you see the statement number 1, statement number 2 and statement number 3, all these three statements start with by. By functioning exclusively. Again, you are mentioning such word which can be easily identified by good candidate. So if we will do an anatomy of entire question paper, what UPSC have did? UPSC have first did the shock therapy. You will be sensitized. You will be in shock what they have asked. But if you will maintain the composure during the question paper, many of the questions are there. You can just simply use the elimination method, but you will able to use to that thing only when you are not too much sensitized because of what you have seen just in the question paper. So here in this question, automatically they are mentioning exclusively as a domestic cargo hub to reduce reliance on the coastal shipping and eliminate the need for foreign collaboration. And in the question they are writing Vizhinjam International Seaport. So statement question is saying that international seaport, and the first statement saying that domestic cargo hub. Kuch bhi. And like you can go for anyway. Like students are, what you are thinking, you are going to give the shock therapy and students are not able to understand the simple silly things in the first statement. So the first statement is incorrect. It is not exclusively for domestic. It is an international seaport, can cater the requirement of nearby countries also. So first statement is incorrect. Now if you'll go for the second statement, by focusing primarily on passenger cruise tourism, again it is incorrect. It is international seaport, that is not focused on any kind of the cruise tourism and heritage shipping. Here, because Kerala is known for God's own home, the tagline of the Kerala tourism, God's own home. So many people who are less prepared or they are not having proper knowledge of the Indian port, they may think that this port is also going to cater the tourism requirement, but absolutely it is not. And one more thing why people may be confused in the exam, because Kerala is not known for their heavy industrialization, whereas Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Odisha, all these states are having big ports, and these ports are focused for industrial development and other things. But in this case, the statement is completely incorrect. And if you'll see the third statement, by leveraging its natural deep draft and strategic location to reduce dependence on the foreign transshipping ports, enhance revenue retention, and reposition India as a regional maritime trade. This is what I have told you even before discussing this question. So the third statement is correct. Answer is D. Now moving to the next question, question number 38, and it is related to Renfed area development. Though question might be fall in the category of geography also, geography and environment, but in economy we do have a chapter on agriculture, and this question, even if you have basic knowledge with respect to economy and environment, you can easily get this question. This question is saying that which among the following is our objectives of Rainfed Area Development RAD initiative under National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture. Fine, sustainable agriculture they are talking about, and Rainfed Area Development. Now the statement number 1 is saying that encouraging monoculture in Rainfed area. Monoculture in any form of the agriculture is not considered as a good thing. So this statement is incorrect. Fine. Now let's go to the statement number 2. Increasing the rice cultivation in the irrigation region. In the chapter of agriculture, we have multiple times discussed that agriculture, especially wheat and rice. These are the two crops where majority of MSP is being given by the government of India, and government of India consistently want to push farmers to stay away from this monocrop culture in India, especially wheat and rice. So in any ways, government is not keen to encourage any kind of the excessive rice cultivation in any part of the India. So this statement is again incorrect. Now, if first two statements are incorrect, then automatically third statement is correct or incorrect, because in the options, option number A, option number B, option number C, they are saying that only one which is going to be incorrect. 1 and 2, it's also going to be incorrect. Second and third, it is also going to be incorrect. So answer is D. You can use the elimination method, but the statement, if you read the statement, enhancing the productivity and minimizing the climate risk through integrated farming system. Of course, because question is saying about rainfed area development and sustainable agriculture. So in this context, third statement is correct. So answer is D for question number 38. Now let's move to the question number 39, and which is talking about which of the following are the most significant implications on obtaining OECO-TEX certification for ERI silk in the global textile industry. Statement number 1 is saying that it allows Indian exporters to compete in the high-end market that prioritize chemical-free products. Statement number 2 is saying that it confirms the ERI silk meets international safety, environmental and quality standards, enabling its entry into premium eco-conscious market. Fine. So if we'll see these two statements, fine, like European markets are too sensitive these days. In the 1970s, 1980s, Europeans and American market, they are highly sensitive to bonded labor or forced labor. But over the period of time, especially European market become highly sensitive with respect to the environmental degradation. Carbon border adjustment mechanism, many initiatives have taken by the Europe. Because of this, Indian textiles are always facing a lot of issues. And this is why it is required for the government of India to resolve this matter. And for that purpose, government have taken multiple initiatives, and under that, OICO text certification is one initiative. So if you'll go in the context of this question, you can say that, means we can see that OICO text standard 100 certified textiles tested for harmful substance, a passport to premium market. Means once you are going to be certified by this OICO text certification, you can go to any area in the Europe. So in this context, if you'll see, both statements are correct, because the certification is for what purpose? To ensure the product is high quality as well as it is not harming the environment. So in this context, both statements are correct. Now let's move to the question number 48, semiconductor plants. So question number 48, which of the following pairs semiconductor plants in India and their location is not correctly matched? Fine. So here recently in the month of February or March, in the March month, one semiconductor plant in Noida was inaugurated by Prime Minister himself. He himself went there, and that plant was HCL Foxconn joint venture India chip plant. So this is clear-cut indication the option C is incorrect, because this plant is not in the Madhya Pradesh, it is in Uttar Pradesh, Noida. So if you are reading newspaper on consistent basis, many of the questions you are able to solve it. So if we see this question paper in the first instance, it is a shock. Yes, it's a shock, because the nature of the question, the way of asking the question is quite different. But if you'll calm down after 5 minutes looking at the question paper and you will go question by question, many of the question you can correct it on the basis of your knowledge with respect to the subject and certain current affairs. So this question E is basically a current affairs question, but it is related to semiconductor, which is a part of industry. So I have taken this question in the economy section. Now let's move to the next question. Again, it's a question which is not only with respect to the economy, but it is also related to the technology, the blockchain. So blockchain is consistently in the news over the period of time, and especially if you go 2-3 years back, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, bitcoins, all these are consistently in the news. So because of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, blockchain came into the news, but blockchain is not something which is related to cryptocurrencies only. Blockchain is used in extensive way in the multiple sectors, including the cryptocurrencies. Now let's see the question. Which of the following statements regarding the future of blockchain technology are correct? In this context, record stored in the database may be made visible to relevant stakeholders without risking of alteration. That is absolutely correct. You cannot alter those things. Now the statement number 2 is saying that a copy of the entire database are stored on multiple computers on a network, syncing within seconds. That is also correct. It can be synced with any database within a seconds. And this is why blockchain is very effective technology for the financial sector, because here the latency is almost zero in the blockchain technology. Now, if you go to the third statement, consortium blockchain is a blend of public and private blockchain allowing selective data access. That is incorrect. Selective data access is not allowed in the blockchain system. So third statement is incorrect. Now, if we'll go for the fourth statement, mathematical algorithms makes it impossible to change or delete any data on the recorded and accepted. True. This is why blockchain is one of the safest and secure way, and corruption and manipulations are almost negligible in the blockchain, because once it is being recorded and accepted, you cannot make any change. Fine. So statement number 1, 2, and 4 is correct. So answer is C. Now let's move to the next question, question number 52, and it is related to e-commerce. The e-commerce revenue model where the seller can control over the pricing but does not keep product in the stocks and instead transfer customer order and shipment details to the third party supplier who then ships the goods directly to the customer is called. Now, this question is very interesting and I have a reason for the smile. Few days back, in fact, not few days back, sorry, 2 months back, I have ordered a specific product from the Amazon and I have paid for it. But when the product is not being delivered after 3 days, I have called to the Amazon customer care and I have asked for the reason. They said that product is not available in the inventory by the seller. I said how it is possible. I have paid and I have seen that the product was showing there. So then he said that, sir, it is a mistake because of this drop shipping model. So in that conversation, the customer care want to just explain me the entire situation. In that conversation, the customer care representative have explained me about this drop shipping model. So if I was in the exam, I can convincingly say that the drop shipping model, what they are mentioning here, in fact, if you will little bit pay the curiosity, means sometimes what happen, we order from the Blinkit and this quick commerce product is being visible, but when you will really order, it is not going to be visible. So this is a classic problem in the system of e-commerce where the seller is having only symbolic stock. They do not have a physical stock. So for this question, answer is A. Now let's move to the question number 53. And again, if you are regularly following the newspaper, this question is also quietly easy. Even if you have a basic sense about the financial inclusion, you can easily pick this question. Though in the examination hall-like condition, it is a pressure situation, so maybe it is a difficult, and I am sitting in a comfortable environment to analyze this question paper. So I understand the candidate's issue in the examination hall, but overall, if you are calm and composed, you can get easily this question. Question is asking which of the following correctly represent the 3 keys sub-indices of the financial inclusion index. Financial inclusion is all about including all those people who are not in the financial umbrella. And those who are not in the financial umbrella, basically either they are old people, they are not well versed the knowledge of the financial system and all, or they are illiterate people, or they are very low income people. So for them, it is access, usage, and the quality is the main key. So by this simple logic, you can easily pick the option C. But here, credit access, insurance depth, and pension coverage. Pension is not the part of this financial inclusion focus, though pension coverage is also government's priority, but not a main focus of this financial inclusion. So statement number 1 is only partially correct. Statement number 2, banks access, of course. GDP contribution, again, financial inclusion is not directly focusing on GDP contribution, though financial inclusion will definitely help the GDP contribution, but it is not a set target under the financial inclusion. So again, statement B is also only partially correct. Then statement number C, access, usage, and quality, that is also correct. Then option C, D, access, affordability, and transparency. In the examination like condition, of course, candidates are going to have this kind of a confusion whether C is correct or D is correct. So here, usage, affordability, because both statements start with access. Then the second statement is usage, third is quality. In the D statement, affordability and transparency. Financial inclusion do not focuses on the transparency because majority of the product are digital where the human interference is almost negligible. That is why transparency cannot be a index for financial inclusion. So this is why if you use the logical reasoning in this question with some sort of financial rationality, you will easily pick this option C. So for 53, option C is the correct answer. Now, the question number 54, which is basically about open network and digital commerce, ONDC. Multiple times people complain about a particular company, like for example, this company, Swiggy is charging more, Zomato is charging more, and they are trying to use their position in the market in order to exploit the people. In order to end this exploitation, government have started this ONDC. So here, if you'll see, because only 4 statements are there and you have to pick only one, so it is quite easier to pick, but still we will go for analysis of all 4 statements to allow government control over all digital commerce transactions. Answer is no. Government is not intended or interested to control the digital transactions in the field of transactions related to commerce. So first statement is incorrect. To replace private e-commerce player. Government is not intended to replace the private players. In fact, government is intended to have more private players, because more private players is going to be creating a situation like perfect market competition, and the perfect market competition, both are being benefited, consumer as well as seller. So government is not interested in replacing, so B is incorrect. C is saying that to break the dominance of the large e-commerce platform by enabling interoperability across the network. As I said that before discussing this question, this is the main reason why ONDC was introduced. So C is the right answer. But in the exam, we should see all the 4 options before choosing any of the options. So we have to see option D, to mandate UPI based payment for online transaction. That is very weak kind of a reason to say why ONDC was introduced. So of course, C is the correct answer of question number 54. And we do have set D, as I said that in the beginning. Now, let's go for question number 55, UPI versus CBDC. So UPI introduced first, then later on, central bank digital currency was introduced. Central bank digital currency is exclusively issued by whom? It is exclusively issued by RBI, whereas UPI works on the principle of the money which you have in your saving accounts. Now these days, UPI can also be used to the credit card, but basically UPI is related to commercial banks. And CBDC is something which is related to the central bank. That is why the name is central bank digital currency. If you have this basic idea in your mind, you can easily crack this question. Now, let's see the question. Question is saying that which of the following statement about UPI and CBDC is not correct? UPI is a real-time payment system, but digital rupee is akin to sovereign paper currency. That is a very correct statement. As I said that, it is by Government of India. Sorry, RBI. The second statement is saying that in the case of UPI, settlement for the end user happens instantly as the money gets immediately debited or credited. But in the case of digital rupee, there is no settlement in the wallet balance get transferred to another wallet. Yes, because currency is going to be transferred from one account to another account, not in the digital wallets. So this statement is also true. Now, the third statement is saying that UPI transactions are recorded by the banks and reflected in the bank statement. But in the case of digital rupee, no data is captured in the bank statement as the transactions are from one to another wallet. Fourth statement is saying that in the both cases, UPI and digital rupee are liability lies with the users and their respective bank. So here might be there will be confusion with respect to option C and option D. Option B and option A are clear to say they are correct. Option C can create a confusion because here some words are being used. No data is captured in the bank statement as transactions are from one wallet to another wallet. So that is true because it is moving from one wallet to another wallet. So that statement is also true. It is perfectly correct statement. Fourth statement, if you read fourth statement carefully, you will automatically find that this statement is incorrect. Both case, UPI and digital rupee, are the liability lies with the user and their respective bank. In the case of CBDC, it is the responsibility of RBI, not that respective bank. So this statement D is incorrect. But it was a very good question in order to confuse, and majority of the students in the examination like condition, they might be go for option number C. But the correct option is option number D. Then the question related to tokenization. I was expecting this question not this year, in fact, but last year itself, because tokenization from the RBI is consistently in the news. Many of the banks, they are not very interested with the RBI's tokenization policy, and that is why they have even went to the government of India against RBI, but ultimately RBI was having upper hand with respect to the tokenization system. So tokenization means what? For something like if you went to the sweet shop or any shop to purchase something, so sometimes they will say that go and take the token. So you took the token itself is not having intrinsic value, but token is considered have a imaginary value. That token is considered as the, suppose you have transacted 1000 rupees on some shop and they have given you the token, and with that token you can go to the counter and collect your good. So in that phase from the counter you get the token, and from the counter where you are going to deposit and get the good worth 1000 rupees. In between that token is having the value of 1000 rupees. Fine, having the value of 1000 rupees. Now imagine a situation where some person who is more hurry and he requested you, okay, I will give you 1000 rupees, I am having this situation, can you help me? And you thought that, okay, let's help this person. So you can give that token to that person and you can get 1000 rupees, which is having the same value. So this was the basic funda of tokenization. So in the real estate and other things which is slowly moving. Why slowly moving? Because a lot of paperwork and other things are required. So how to make that market more dynamic in the nature? For that purpose, the system of tokenization is very effective. But it will be effective only when the underlying asset of which we are going to do the tokenization, it should be foolproof. There should be no forgery. So until unless there will be the validation of that thing, tokenization is not possible. So now let's see this question. Which of the following statement about the real world asset tokenization are correct? I have given you the entire scenario. Now, if we go to this question, tokenization is a process turning the real world asset into the digital token using the blockchain technology. Correct. Tokenization of real world assets offer 24/7 access, promoting financial inclusion. Again, correct. The main purpose of the tokenization itself is. The third statement, tokenization of the real world asset will allow access to high growth in the investment opportunities for individuals in India. That statement is also correct. But those people who are practicing for last 3-4 months about the civil services exam, most of the questions when they see 2 statement, 3 statement, they have seen that 4 statement question. Out of 4, only 3 is correct. Out of 3, not all are the correct. So whenever there is a thing, all are correct, people have this anxiety feeling that is going to say ki might be only 2 is correct. So that is why maybe some candidates feel that ki C is not correct, only first or second is correct, or might be first and third is correct, 24/7 might be not available. But in this case, all 3 statements are correct and answer is A. Now, the next question is question number 57, and it is about sustainable finance and bond whose proceeds are used only to finance or refinance combination of both environmental and social project. Green bonds are basically for environmental purpose. Social bonds are focused only for social issues. But a sustainability bond focuses on both environmental as well as social causes. So this is why in this case option C is correct. Sovereign bond is something which is related to issued by the government where the sovereign is going to take a guarantee. So D is incorrect. A and B are partially correct and C is perfectly correct. So answer will be C for question number 57. Now the question number 58, and this question number 58 is basically related to EREDS, that is trade receivable discounting system. So this trade receivable discounting system was consistently in the news from October 2025 to February 2026. Consistently, this system is in the news in order to help the sector of MSME. In fact, in the budget, finance minister have too much put an emphasis on MSME sector, and she have mentioned about this trade receivable discounting system of revival 2.0. So in this context, this question is being asked, but they have not asked this question directly. They have put the question in a different way, because majority of the coaching institute, they have write too much article, their magazines, their day-to-day current affairs, they have mentioned about this trade receivable discounting system. So rather than asking question directly, they have put the question very cleverly. Let's see the question. Which of the following statement about the M1 exchange role in the micro, small and medium enterprises are? M1 exchange provide collateral based loans. Answer is incorrect. They do not provide the collateral based loan. Basically, ETDRS system is a facility where your bill is being discounted so that liquidity will be remain with the producer. So if we will see, M1 exchange facilitate discounting invoice and the bill exchange rate system. Second statement is perfectly correct. M1 exchange functions as a credit rating agency. Answer is incorrect. Credit rating agencies are a specific business, and SEBI regulate them, and SEBI have guidelines who can do this and who cannot do this. So third statement is incorrect. First statement is incorrect. So answer here will be only 2. Correct answer is B. Now let's move to the next question. Question number 59, which is related to crowding out. So crowding out is a situation when the investors, rather than coming to your economy, they will prefer to go out of your economy, and this situation is called as crowding out. So in the crowding out situation, investors will prefer to go out of your economy, and usually when the production cost increases, the profit of the producer decreases. So this is a classic case where investors will try to go out of your economy, and this situation is called as crowding out. Now, if you see these options, which of the following best describes as a crowding out effect in the context of fiscal policy? So fiscal policy context, they are asking the crowding out phenomena in the context of fiscal policy. Fiscal policy means basically government spending and government's receivings. So government receives the money in the form of taxes, non-tax revenue and the borrowing, and government expenditure in terms of capital expenditure and revenue expenditure. Now, if you'll see a situation where the private investment increases due to increase in the government spending, no, private investments do not increases in the crowding out. Private investments are going to out. Less private investments will be received. So second option, a situation where the government borrowings lead to higher interest rates and reduce the private investment. This is the correct answer, because if government is going to borrow too much, the liquidity will reduce for the private sector and interest rate will rise, and the profitability for the private sector will decrease and private sector will step out, and that will be called as a crowding out. So B statement is correct, but still let's see the C and D statement. A situation where the increase in the taxes lead to increase in the private sector investment. Again incorrect. Excessive taxes will crowd out. So this statement is incorrect. Now the statement number 4, a situation where the government spending has no impact on aggregate demand. Again, this statement is incorrect. So correctly definition of the crowding out is under statement number B. So answer is B for the question number 59. Let's move to the question number 60. Though this question number 60, it cannot be typically called as an economic question, but here, because mining, minerals, all these are part of industries, so I'll prefer to use this question in the domain of economics, and this question is related to the rare earth element and the critical minerals, which is consistently in the news for past 1.5 years. Since the trade was started between India, China and US, or even before that, China is consistently using its position in the rare earth and the critical minerals in order to exploit the entire world. So Let's see that modern technology innovation, including artificial intelligence, robotics, space exploration, extensively utilize a rare earth element. Correct. Why? Because semiconductor chips require these rare earth element, and that is why statement number 1 is perfectly correct. China has the highest share of mining, yes, but if you will miss the last 3 lines of the statement followed by India. So statement is correct till then. Here China has the highest mining of RED, that is correct. But after China, it is not India. There are other countries. So statement number 2 is incorrect. So if statement number 2 is incorrect, automatically you can eliminate option D. Fine. Option D, and you can also eliminate option B. Why? Because first statement is also correct. So option B saying that only 3, option D saying that 1, 2 and 4. So these 2 are incorrect. Now let's see the option number 3. The government of India launched the National Critical Mission 2025 to establish a robust framework for the self-reliance in the critical mineral. Yes. So statement number 3 is correct. So answer is going to be where statement number 3. Let's see one more statement before coming to the conclusion. Rare earth elements are 13 metallic elements. So if there are 3 statements in this question, it is easy to pick this question. But in order to confuse you, they have mentioned a rare earth element having 13 elements, but answer is 17. So statement number 4 is incorrect, means answer is what? Answer is A. First and third statement is correct, and 2 and 4 statement is incorrect. Now, a unfortunate tragedy of crashing of Air India plane, which was bound to UK from Gujarat, and all the passengers except one passenger have died. And that tragedy have not only shaken the conscience of everyone around the world, but certain questions are also still pending. For example, who was the responsible? It was a human error or machine error, and still report is pending. But those who lost their life cannot be returned, but some sort of compensation to their near and dear must be given. So air crashes are not new. Since the aviation sector started booming, air crashes are consistently happening despite best effort made by the humans. But in this context, in 1999, countries have gathered in order to provide the insurance to those who are going to lose their life in the air crashes. And that was happened exactly in 1999. And in this context, if you see the statement number 2, because the question is which of the following statement is about insurance in the aviation sector, is are correct. Aviation hull insurance covers the physical aircraft including body, engine and onboard equipment. That is correct. Under the Montreal Convention adopted 1999 over by 130 countries including India, airlines are strictly liable to pay compensation to the families, nominees of every deceased person without requiring the family prove fault. So this statement is also correct. So both statements are correct. Answer is C. Now let's move to the next question of economy, that is alternative financing, crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is a method where you do not go to any particular finance house like bank or insurance company. You will go to that place from where you are going to get finances on easy terms and conditions without too much conditions. For example, if you are looking from a bank, bank is going to ask you to provide all the documents. But same thing, if any of your family member or relative or any person who is having good wealth, you can approach that person and he is not going to ask you on the basis of institutionalized data in order to get the funding. So crowdfunding is a simplest way of funding where you are not able to fulfill all the statutory requirements established by the financial institutions, but still you can get a fund from those who are wealthy and influential. They can give you the fund because your business looks very promising or your ideas looks very promising. This is the basic method of crowdfunding. In that context, let's see the statement. Question number 62. 2. Which of the following statement about the crowdfunding is are correct? Crowdfunding is a solicitation of fund small amount from multiple investors through web-based platform or social networking sites for a specific project. That is correct. Statement number 2, small and medium enterprises are able to raise funds at lower cost of capital without undergoing a rigorous procedure. I have already explained these two statements are correct. Answer is C. Now, if you'll go to question number 63, I'm really disappointed with the UPSC because this is not an SSC bank PO exam where you are asking for the committees. In fact, for SSC exam, they stop asking such a silly question, which committee for what purpose, where you want to go, what you want from the student. They should learn and understand from the crucial aspects of the committee, or they should go for the rote memorization of remembering all the committees of the different sector. What you want from them? You want a civil servant who have a specific knowledge about what is required to grow, or you want some person who have a rote memorization and able to remember all the committees and commission. So this is highly disappointing, and I'll say it's a nonsense question, but because they have asked, we have to follow it. R.N. Malhotra Committee, L.C. Gupta Committee, Urjit Patel Committee, Y.H. Malegham Committee. So, being as a teacher of economics, over the period of time, fine, we do regularly go to the banking and economy. So, Urjit Patel Committee, Y.H. Malegham Committee is well-known committee in the banking and finance because it provides a lot of information to us to explain the scenario. So, we do use, and especially when we talk about Urjit Patel Committee. So, Urjit Patel Committee was formed by the Reserve Bank of India, and on the recommendation of Urjit Patel Committee, actually the Monetary Policy Committee came into the picture. So we do discuss this Monetary Policy Committee of Urjit Patel Committee for monetary policy discussion in the classes. But R.N. Malhotra Committee comprehensive, yes, that is correct, Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority of India. But it is not something which need to be taught in the class to the students in order to make them understand about the IRDAI functioning. It is just a committee, it is just a part of ongoing process. Fine. But still they have asked. So if you'll see in this, first is correct, second is correct. Urjit Patel Committee was for not preparing the roadmap of banking, lending and to the housing sector. This committee was basically for the purpose of reforms in the monetary policy formulation in India. So the third statement is incorrect. So the correct answer will be which of the following above details are correctly matched, because third one is incorrect. Fine. So here there is a doubt. Fine. Only 2, which is option A. Option B is saying 2 and 3. Option C is saying that 1, 2, 1, 3 and 4. 3 is incorrect. So C is not an answer. Here D will be the answer, second and fourth. Now next question, 64 number, which is saying that consider the following statement about the non-banking financial companies, NBFCs in India. NBFC cannot accept a demand deposit. Correct, because demand deposit is only accepted by whom? It is only accepted by the commercial banks. Banking company in India only allowed to accept the demand deposit, not the non-banking financial company. All NBFCs operate in India to be registered with RBI. No, there are certain specific NBFCs which need not to be registered with whom? RBI. They are actually regulated by Securities and Exchange Board of India. For example, alternative investment fund companies. They are regulated by whom? SEBI, not by RBI. So second statement is incorrect. Third statement, NBFC from part of the payment and settlement system and can issue check drawn on itself. So if we will see this third statement is saying that NBFCs from all part of the payment and settlement system and can be issued check drawn on itself. If we will see this statement is also incorrect. So NBFCs are not allowed to issue the check. Now the fourth statement, if you see the fourth statement, deposit insurance facility provided by DICGC is not available to the depositor of deposit taking NBFCs. NBFC take deposits. NBFC takes not demand deposit, but they take time deposit. So time deposit can be accepted by the NBFCs. And in India, Deposit Insurance Credit Guarantee Corporation of India, DICGC, provided insurance to the bank deposits. But they do provide the insurance to bank deposit, not the NBFC's deposit. So any NBFC deposit is not insured. Means if NBFC will collapse, user is going to lose his money which he have deposited in the non-banking financial company. That is true. So statement number 1, which is saying that NBFC cannot accept the deposit, that is correct statement. Statement number 4, DICGC is not available for NBFC, that is also correct statement. So first and fourth is correct. So answer is A. Now the question number 65. Question number 65 is something like, just few days back I have discussed this topic in the class itself regarding MPI of Ellicott-Foster method and MPI of Niti Aayog. Ellicott-Foster method is basically developed by the Oxford University, and they have 10 indicators to understand multi-dimensional aspect of the poverty. Whereas when the Niti Aayog have created this multi-dimensional poverty index, they have used not 10 indicators, but in fact used 12 indicators, and that become a matter of debate among the scholars in the economics. Some found that Niti Aayog's index is more widened and it can capture the multi-dimensional poverty in a better manner. But many have said that because you have to use 2 additional indicators to create multiple dimensional poverty index, it is going to decrease the weightage of other factors which are more important to undermine the poverty. And these 2 factors which is used by the Niti Aayog was, one is maternal health and second is bank account. So these are the 2 special things which Niti Aayog have used in their MPI, which is not used in Ellicott-Foster method of MPI of Oxford University. Now, if you'll see this question, you can easily pick that. Consider the following statement about the multi-dimensional poverty index. MPI is calculated using the Ellicott-Foster method. That is correct. MPI calculated by the Niti Aayog has a total 12 indicators. That is also correct. Maternal health and the bank account are the common indicators in the MPI of Niti Aayog and identified in this way. Maternal health and the bank account are common indicators in the MPI of Niti Aayog and MPI of United Nations. That is incorrect. MPI of Niti Aayog is having maternal health and bank account as an additional component in comparison to Ellicott-Foster method, which is adopted by United Nations. So this is a question where only first and second is correct. Answer is A. So this is all about overall 18 economic questions. Again, I will say that if you see the question paper in the first instance, question paper look extremely difficult, and that may be going to, many students are going to be hopeless and they start feeling I am going to lose this attempt. But those who are going to be remain composed in this question paper, they can score very well and they can get very good marks. And because of this, I feel that cutoff is not going to be too much high or too much low. Cutoff is going to be expected to be remain same as of last year's cutoff. Thank you.